I'm Chip Templeton here at the Mitchell Memorial Library on the campus of Mississippi State University. And we're here to have a great discussion with a new friend of mine here in just a moment. But we want to tell you first about the Charles H. Templeton Senior Ragtime and Jazz Festival that's going on here starting this evening and then for the next 2 days. We invite you to come by for that. Or if not, come to the Charles Templeton Music Museum on the 4th floor here at the library anytime you're in Starkville and want to come to campus. There are tours of the museum. So that's a mouthful. But I want to introduce you to my new friend. I met him all of 5 minutes ago, and I've been waiting for months to meet Louis Ford from New Orleans. Now, how do you say New Orleans?
New Orleans.
New Orleans, okay,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
You have Nolans.
Nolans and all those.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yeah. Nouvelle Orleans.
And that one I couldn't do. But we're so honored to have you here at our festival. And I know you're going to bring a lot of joy and make instant friends with everybody that you play for.
I have been waiting for this day for a long time.
Now, I know you're coming. We have 5 other musicians that are joining you here. Some have been here many times. 3 of them are making their second time here, and this is your first time.
First, yes.
First time here. So we hope it's not the last time, too. We hope that you'll come back time and time again. So tell us about your music and your family or whatever you like to talk about.
Yes, let's start off with the family. I am a 5th generation of musicians, dated back to the late 1800s. My family migrated here from Santo Domingo. Being a 5th generation, my father was a 4th generation. I have a cousin who is also a 4th generation who grew up alongside with my father. My father was a member of the Fats Domino band for over 33 years. Recorded with numerous artists in the city of New Orleans and abroad. Patti LaBelle. The list goes on. My cousin Charlie, who's 92 years young, who still plays today, we work together alongside one another a lot. I learn a lot from him. He's a chip off the old block, just like his father. And he and my dad were like stuck together like glue. So I learned a lot from him. And he was a member of the Gladys Knight's band, Gladys Knight and the Pips.
I remember that.
Yes, so he got around a lot, you know. So I have some big shoes to fill. And I traveled on the road with a lot of groups as well. Harry Connick Jr. Orchestra, I was a member of his band, you know, for over 3 years. The Smithsonian Jazz Masterwork Orchestra out of Washington, D.C., under the direction of the late, great David Baker. So I've done a lot.
You have got a lot of history.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you shared about your family. That's the most important thing, because music is more about notes. It's about what it means to you and those that came before
Exactly.
you. It's something in your heart that
It's something
comes
in your
out.
heart. I knew from the beginning, you know, being surrounded by musicians, my father, my cousin Charlie, Gabriel, my uncles, that music was a way to express. Music was also a perfect way to make an honest living by channeling all your hard work, practicing, studying. You know, all that comes into play if you want to achieve something, a goal. And I taught school for over 28 years. So I would instill that in my kids as well. You know, hard work, academics come first. Practice your instrument. Whatever your goal is, if you want to be a track star, football player, basketball player, doctor, lawyer, whatever, you have to put in the effort. No pain, no gain, I always say. So long as we practice and practice hard at it, you know, it will come to tuition that you become whoever you want to be.
That is very inspirational. I can see why so many people look up to you for what you stand for and so forth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me go back a little bit to bring our audience and actually you up to speed on a couple of things, because I know you just got here.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know anything about what we do here, so I'm going to kind of kill two birds with one stone, bring
Okay.
our audience and you a little bit, and then we're going to do something we haven't done in all the times I've done interviews. So you be ready for that.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So here at the festival, it starts out here this evening. We have a Gatsby Gala here at the library where students from the fashion merchandising educational department are researched clothing from our archives of sheet music and studied it, and they've made garments and they're going to display it tonight. We're going to have that Great Gatsby feel. This, however, with the business of music, which is our theme, you can do any genre. So this year we're actually going to do around the 50s.
Uh-huh.
So we're kind of putting the Gatsby era and the 50s kind of together.
Oh.
And you all are going to play a little music in the background while the students kind of show out a little bit. And then the next 2 days during the daytime events in the Music Museum on the 4th floor here, where my dad and the family have this collection that we gave to the university many years ago. And this festival is one of the outreach sections of the archives here. And we have breakout sessions, we have sheet music collection demonstrations, tours of the museum. You're going to play a little bit, talk a little bit. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have silent movies and all kind of things. And then on Friday nights and Saturday nights, we're having big concerts, of which Lewis is going to be there performing with our others. And if you come both nights, you will see the same performers, but you won't hear any of the same music. So they're going to have surprises for us for both evenings. So I know you have Preservation Hall that you're so proud of, and we're proud of that for you. Mm-hmm. So our Preservation Hall is the Templeton Music Museum up there, where we take 3 different collections that my dad collected. And that is the instruments, not like your clarinet, but it might be Victrolas, the various things that people bought and why they bought those particular models, which competitors made which ones.
Yeah.
So that's collection number 1. Then we have there's 200 of those. Then we have about 10,000 recordings, and then we have about 25,000 pieces of rare sheet music. Mm-hmm. And that focuses on from Thomas Edison in the 1877 era all the way up to some more modern, but primarily the ragtime area of late 1800s to the 30s.
Yeah.
And so we study that, and everything we do up there has a purpose for why we're displaying it, just like you're talking about that.
Wow.
So that kind of killed 2 birds with one stone for our audience to know what we're about. And then I want to put you, maybe not on the spot, hopefully not, but would you share some music with us?
Sure.
So this is the first time in these interviews we've had music.
Yeah,
so
you have
we
put
want
me on the
we
spot.
want to hear a little bit about what you do. So share with us something, and let's just see what that might lead to.
You know, there are a plethora of pioneers from New Orleans that helped create New Orleans as a birthplace of jazz. The different genres, such as Jelly Roll Morton,
I love him.
specialized in ragtime. Sidney Bechet, Buddy Bolden, Louis Armstrong, Kid Ory, so George Lewis, and obviously my father, the late great Clarence Ford Sr., and my cousin, who I'm fortunate to be with today, Charlie Gabriel. So there's many, but one of my biggest inspirations was Sidney Bechet, Sidney Bechet. Sidney Bechet was a very well-known clarinet soprano saxophonist from New Orleans, who after the shutdown of Storyville in 1923.
That's a very great story. If people don't know about that, they need to know about that.
He moved to Paris and made a very good living there. The country worshipped him. He married the great, beautiful Josephine Baker, so he had a good life, and his compositions, his tone, everything about it, I was influenced by. So I tell you what, I'll do one or half of it, a tune entitled La Petite Fleur. If anyone speaks French out there, that means little fleur. I'm just joking. Little flower. So,
That was fantastic.
yeah, I always
Thank you for sharing that.
thank you. I always throw a little taste of my classical education in there. So what you heard on the end on cadenza, that was a little excerpt from Amadeus Mozart's Casus 622.
Very cleverly done. So,
Yeah.
well, thanks for sharing with that. We might twist your arm to try to do something else here
Uh-oh.
before we wrap up.
Okay.
So here at the festival, for instance, on the Friday nights and Saturday nights, we have all kind of instruments going on. So we've got a great stride piano going. We've got a wonderful flute going. We've got some vocals. We've got a xylophone guy playing all kinds of other percussion. We've got banjos and all kind of things. So are there other instruments that you're bringing that you're going to be playing? Or if
Tenor
so,
saxophone.
tenor saxophone. That's
Yes.
going to blend in well with that. So have you played with any of our musicians before, or do you
Jeff.
know any of them? So Jeff Barnhart.
Me and Jeff, we go way back.
Okay. Well, I knew that you all were acquainted, but I didn't know that you'd actually shared the stages
Yes,
together and so
yes.
forth. Okay. Well, I know there's a certain chemistry that musicians have that you can't just pick it up and order one of them.
True.
And
true.
so the
Yeah.
chemistry is going to be really good, it sounds like.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Well, that's great. So describe your music in a nutshell, Lewis's music in a nutshell.
As I mentioned before, being surrounded by music. My father not only was he a terrific New Orleans jazz musician, he was also a terrific R&B jazz musician, as well as bebop. So I was in this from the beginning and learning these particular genres and carrying on the torch after my dad made his transition is my cousin, Charlie Gabriel, who's teaching me a lot as we go along. So I've been very fortunate and blessed to have him with me right now. So with this music, the New Orleans traditional jazz, New Orleans jazz, R&B, whether it's ragtime, early jazz, early brass band jazz, R&B, or bebop, sacred, spiritual, I'm able to make that transition from one to the other. I've done many movie soundtracks. Latest movie soundtrack I did was The Jungle Book. It came out, I believe, in 2007. I've also done NCIS New Orleans. Majority of the incidental music that you hear on NCI New Orleans, it's me on the clarinet along with another 6-piece front line of horns. Incidental music meaning a chase scene, anything solemn, what have you. That background music is me on the clarinet. And that comes from my classical studies, learning how to read music, working in the studio. That's a prerequisite to being a studio musician, to learn and know how to read music. So with all those genres, I'm capable to jump from one to the other.
That's going to be exciting to watch and listen to.
Yeah.
So tell us something else about you, and don't hold back. We want to hear some more show-offs. Tell us tell us other things that you've done that would be interesting for us to know.
I'm also a curriculum developer with the Press Hall virtual lesson plans. What does that mean? What are the virtual lesson plans? If you guys want to pick up an instrument, you never picked up an instrument a day in your life, everything is spelled out online. That you get to learn how the instrument, the origin of the song, the origin of the instrument, those who have performed on these instruments, and also learning how to play a song, like When the Saints Go Marching In. With my music movie accolades, When Harry Met Sally, on the road with Harry Connick Jr. for 4 years. The Smithsonian Jazz Masterwork Orchestra, I did that for 6 years with some of the great legends of music in the entire world. So I was blessed to be a part of that. With all that, you know, I'm still learning, and I'm still making baby steps to get to that next level.
Well, you got your heart right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, because I did not know any of that. So that's fantastic. So, by the way, one of the sheets that we have on display this week in the museum is one I picked out. It's called That Motion Picture Rag, and it has a great cover. And while you're up there, I want you to look at it. There's lots of different things about the movie set. The audience are there. It kind of reminded me of that when you were talking about your soundtracks. So before we leave it, let's both invite the audience to our performances for the week. So what are they going to hear right quick, do you think, are they going to experience?
You're going to experience a plethora of different genres. Ragtime, early New Orleans jazz, early brass band, contemporary brass band, R&B, you name it, we're going to have it. Swing, if you guys can do some swing dance, come out and do some swing dancing with us. Liddy, you know, come on out. We're going to have a great time.
So come to the Mitchell Memorial Library here for the events here in the Charles Templeton Music Museum, or McComas Hall in the evenings at 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturday night for our major concerts to hear Lewis and the rest of the team. Would you send us out with something from New Orleans on that wonderful clarinet as we say goodbye to our audience?
Sure. How about your favorite song, the most requested song?
That's great. Thank you, Lewis.
My pleasure.
We hope to see you soon.